All right.
Welcome to 1 Million Cups this Wednesday morning. It happens every week. We are here every week for you.
Yes, we are.
We have a few announcements before we get started. November 1st, the library actually kicked us out for the day because they have something important going on. Don't know what's more important than 1 Million Cups, but we will actually be at Threshold, which is on Atwood
Yes.
Avenue.
Yep. They're an event space, and they'll also be presenting.
Oh, and they'll be presenting. So please come. It'll be fun. We'll still be there, as well as the coffee. So that's kind of our only announcement aside from, Facebook Live, which you will talk about.
Yeah.
Quickly want to thank our sponsors, Feel 59 for our awesome live stream, Crescendo Coffee for always keeping us caffeinated, the library for the great space, and Old National Bank for paying for said coffee.
Guys, my name's Diana Pastrana. I'm with M&M Office Interiors. I'm also social media. So today's kind of a special day for us. It's our first Facebook Live. So I don't know if you guys know this in the room, but about 30 people every week tune in for the live stream off of Field 59's website.
So this is for you.
Yeah, so thank you guys for coming, for joining us, and now we're welcoming in a Facebook group as well. We're going to be pushing toward maybe Instagram, going live on Instagram too, so we can get out the word to more people and have more people viewing our lovely entrepreneurs. So keep an eye out for that. If you can't make it ever, look for the live feed. We're going to be continuing that. So, and welcome to everybody who's joining us online. If you guys have questions for the presenter, go ahead and put them up on the chat box. I will be monitoring that, and then I will raise those questions if we get any. Okay?
Right on. Slightly less exciting, but still exciting. I'm Michael, and I've been reaching out to some of you here in the room, probably some of the folks on the live stream as well, to get you scheduled and then coordinate some general presenter organization. So what we can do as an organizer team to help you deliver a good presentation.
Oh, we're going live.
We are live.
We have one viewer.
My point is, if you want to present with 1 Million Cups, or are going to be, if you're on the schedule, we've contacted you on the schedule and want to know more, feel free to reach out to me, and we can get you set up with everything you'll need.
So with that, we'll start with intros. These guys did it. I forgot. My name is Julianne Selesky. I do business development at the Madison Club.
Kurt Peterson, co-founder of 32 Auctions.
Steve Claude, co-founder of 32 Auctions. If you're looking to fundraise, 32 Auctions is a mobile website for hosting and managing fun, easy, successful silent auction fundraisers.
My name's Trezzy. I'm an independent software consultant. If you're looking to level up your engineering team, you should let me know. I also run a podcast called 100 State of Mind, trying to capture the entrepreneurial spirit through conversation. A bunch of you guys have been on it already. If not, you should check out 100state.com/podcast and get signed up.
I'm Dan Anderson. I'm a physician and entrepreneur. I get to work with my 3 sons who are all software engineers, and we have a company, Expressive Analytics. We build web and mobile apps, and we're looking to build some business in Madison.
I'm Mitch Bastardi with Lyft Consulting. I'm the director of sales. We work with organizations that are faced with growth challenges as it relates to sales and leadership development and processes.
I'm Sean McLarney. I'm a manager with BDO. It's an accounting firm, a global accounting firm. We work in Madison, not exclusively, but very much with the entrepreneur, growth, early growth type companies in the area. And so just wanted to get, some our name out there as well.
Hi, I'm Stacy Norland. I work at Cressa. I'm a commercial real estate broker, and I work a lot with small companies and startups to help them find new office space, retail, and industrial space.
Morning, my name is Alex Ryan. I'm the founder of Prairie Light Solar, a renewable energy finance advisory company.
Hey everybody, I'm DP Knudten of Collaborator Creative, Chief Collaborator. I work with people on everything from content marketing strategy to full-bore nonfiction branding. And I've got a book. It's called Rotoma. I put this out with Spencer X. Smith about the ROI of social media. I have 2 copies available today if anyone's interested.
DP, that head turn was on.
Yeah.
That was totally unplanned.
It was.
I'm Mitch DeWitt, Merrill Lynch Wealth Management. Sorry for walking in late. I spilled coffee all over my pants this morning. I apologize.
sure you did.
I'm Matt Dang. I'm a growth hacker at Response 2. We're trying to build a document management platform.
Lucas Frisbee, I'm the startup team strategist for Starting Block.
I'm Amanda Schwegler. I'm a product manager, but I also just started out of a personal interest in Madison e-commerce meetup group. If anyone's interested in e-commerce technology or starting a store, or if you have an idea for starting an e-commerce store, join my group, Madison e-commerce.
I'm Brian Lind. I am waiting for my permanent residency.
Hard to top that. Dennis Barnum, Merlin Mentors.
I'm Alan Dines. I'm with Merlin Mentors also, and I'm also with a small venture capital operation called Wisp Partners. We're fully invested at this point, but watch for fund number 2 someday in the future.
I'm Brian Rathbun with Digital Fitness, your all-inclusive digital marketing company. Just a heads up, October 18th is the In Business Expo at the Alliant Energy Center. We will be presenting, and we hope to see you guys all down there. Digital Fitness, building your digital muscle.
You gotta get that turn. Turn the camera.
Good morning, Janice Hensley, President and founder of Digital Fitness. He said it all. Great job, Brian.
Dr. Eric Johnson with Functional Wellness and Chiropractic Center. I'm the owner, chiropractor, and nutritionist there. And kind of my goal is to get people better quicker.
Good morning, I'm Susie Yonkel, Program Director for Merlin Mentors.
Good morning, I'm the second Dan Anderson in the audience, but I'm an SEN, and I work for Baker Tilly.
Bob Pope, Research Analyst, WEDC.
Derek Gebler with Field 59.
Clara Benzo, HR Manager at Akita Box.
Laurel Gosheray, Customer Success at Akita Box.
Okay, well with that, I am excited to introduce Olivia from Babette Travel.
Hello, thank you all for coming. I am Olivia Wisden from Babette Travel. I'm the founder and CEO of Babette. So kind of a little bit about what we do before I get into kind of how we got where we are. So what Babette does is we provide the resources, tools, and kind of the guidance for anyone who wants to plan an international internship without using a traditional study abroad or placement program. So the services that we provide are we have direct listings of international internships. Currently we are working in London and Dublin. We provide the resources and information for about accommodation, so students and professionals can find their accommodation, as well as visa breakdowns to make it a little easier to understand what kind of visa and about how long it will take for your visa process. Our goal is to make the visa process a little bit easier, as well as the entire process. So that is just a very brief overview of what we do. But now I'm going to rewind. How did I get here? So summer after my freshman year, I decided I wanted to study in Ireland. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I'd never left the country before, but I knew I wanted to have an internship there, and I wanted to go by myself. So because I was a little nervous, I decided to use a placement program that I had found on UW. What this placement program got for me, it got me an accommodation, it placed me in an internship. At that point I was studying medicine, but instead they put me in a volunteer placement, which ended up being kind of a life-changing moment for me. They helped me with the visa process, which in Dublin actually there is no visa, so they kind of helped me through the guidance of what I needed for everything. This did cost me about $3,500, however, not including my flight or anything else. But as a first-time traveler and a 19-year-old student, I loved the entire process. Then the summer after, or the next year, coming semester of sophomore year, I knew I wanted to go to London. But I'd already done the entire process of a placement program. So I thought I can do this on my own. I started researching in October. I had no real reason for wanting to go to London, except I was kind of stubborn and decided this is where I'm going. I started October researching companies, spending hundreds of hours online, cold calling companies, emailing companies, and basically for 6 months I researched. And by March of that year, I unfortunately had the same information as when I started in October, which was almost nothing. The internship program here on campus then told me that if I wanted to go to London, this was kind of the typical route that I'd have to use a placement program. So I kind of folded and decided that that summer I would use a placement program. Again, my experience was good. I was able to find an internship. They found me accommodation. My internship was great, but it was nothing in what I'd actually wanted to study. I ended up getting an internship with a casting director, which I didn't even know was an option, was a job before I got this internship. And my accommodation, I was able to walk to my internship, which in London is unheard of. Unfortunately, the placement program really didn't have much with that. They had no idea even that was in walking distance to my internship. They actually were like, oh, good to know, we'll remember that for the next intern. And while I had a good experience, most of the students that I talked to did not. Some of them had to rebook their flight because the visa they weren't able to get their internship in time, so the visa didn't come. Some of them had an hour-and-a-half commute each direction. And some even quit their internship because the bosses weren't the ones that they thought they were going to get, so they were too mean. Basically, I realized that the process was flawed. So what I had learned from both of these experiences, one, the programs cost students everywhere from $3,000 to $15,000 for a summer program. What does that include? It includes the guaranteed placement of an internship. It includes the actual accommodation. And it also includes assistance for the visa, but it does not include the visa cost or the flight or any additional things that you want to buy. So food, travel, any of this is not included in that cost. I also realized that most of the services that the programs were charging for, students could do on their own. I was confident that I could have done this on my own if only I had the resources. I also realized that many of these programs had monopolies over the current international internship market. They were able to charge students $7,000, so the competitors were able to charge students $7,000. And I realized that this was not that if the site that I wanted did not exist, that I would create it myself. So the next question is usually, how does Babette make money? If these programs are willing to charge students upwards of $10,000, and I'm not going to charge them nearly anything, how do I make money and where they can't? And we have our three kind of services on here. The first is through user subscriptions. In addition to all of our internship information, we do have general travel information. So for our basic users, you can gain access to all of that. Things to do in Dublin, things to do in London, a bit about our visas, the basic information that you'd want. Maybe if you weren't going for an internship, but you were just traveling to London, you can use. Our general users on the other side will gain access to all of our internship information. So you will gain access to the how to apply to these internships, gain access to the accommodation, and then as well as all of our travel information. And for the students, so someone like me, my first year of going abroad, you can have a premium user, someone who's going to want a little bit more of hand-holding throughout the process. So someone who is looking for you to help them find accommodation, someone who is wanting you to help them write their cover letter, someone who wants you to kind of search through through the internships and kind of help them through the entire process. So that would have a much higher fee. So as well as we'll have listing fees. For a basic listing fee, you get access to all our users, a basic profile set up on our site, similar to all the others. But if you want a premium partnership, this is going to be someone who is interested in not really doing all of the legwork on the terms of hiring the intern. So it's made a cross between a recruitment site as well as a listing site. You work with us and tell us what you're looking for out of your intern, kind of what qualifications you want, and then we kind of act as the filter and then send you who we think are going to be your top applicants. But the bulk way of raising money is through advertising. We want to work with sites that our users are going to be interested in. Companies such as Skyscanner, Airbnb, Couchsurfing, local bars, restaurants, excursion clubs, weekend getaways, anything that our users might be interested in or what you're either before, during, or after the trip, we want to work with you to advertise on Babette. As well as work with doing sponsored articles. So what is our biggest challenge at the moment? Our biggest challenge right now is simply getting in touch with the companies that we need to create kind of all the internships. Currently, we are at the process of cold calling, emailing, similar to what I had done when I was looking for internships in London, only on a much larger and professional scale. Our goal is just getting our emails to actual people sometimes is the hardest struggle. Not being in the spam box, not getting an automated response and never receiving the email. So So our question, or my request for the community today, is simply an extension of your network. If you know of anyone in London, in Dublin, know of anyone who might know of people in London and in Dublin, simply putting our name out there, setting us up with a contact, we found that if basically personal contact is much easier to actually secure and foster these relationships than if trying to send a simple cold email to out of the abyss. As well as if you know any students, if you have students, young professionals, recent graduates, anyone who might be interested in having internship abroad, the experience, simply just tell them about our name and send them our website. Okay, and this is my contact info. I guess I could probably also put my website on there, but that is how my own email address. We also do have a general email address, which is going to be hello@babettetravel.com. And then our website is just babettetravel.com.
You're like actually staying within the time limit. That's awesome. I practiced. I did a good job. So now we always open it up to you guys for you guys to ask your questions and get involved. Yeah, go ahead.
So I wonder, how long have you been doing this and what kind of traction do you have right
Yeah,
now? How many
absolutely.
placements and stuff?
So we are on our first year. We do have we did get our first intern abroad this summer, so that was really exciting. We have our first intern in Dublin right now, and I was actually just talking that we have come. Basically, went in August. That whole process actually was very quick. Once we weren't able to actually launch our internships until about May, which is for international internships is very, very late. For internships in general, it's very, very late. So we have about 5 internships right now that we have on our site, and we were able to place one of them within a week. And then she's been in Dublin for a month, and I've gotten confirmation that both of them are very, very happy.
How do the students find you then? Is there some sort of sync with UW, or how did they find you to then get placed at that internship?
So yeah, it's been a lot of just social media outreach, and I do have connections with the International Internship Program here on campus, and so they kind of have us on their additional resources site, which is nice. So if students are interested in general, they then have access to here. But so far, it's just been UW has worked really well with us, and the last one actually we had advisors emailing students directly about our information.
And will you expand that to other universities someday?
Yeah, absolutely. We decided to stick into kind of the Madison area just because we're kind of doing a slower, more organic growth to make sure our internships are successes. And then if we only have 12 internships or two dozen internships, really extending it beyond Madison doesn't really fit very well.
A huge recommendation for you. Are you capturing stuff from your person in Dublin right now? Things like Instagram posts, vlogs?
No, but that's a very good, yeah.
Grab that stuff and just literally, this is the ingredients that you're going to be able to make your marketing meal out of. If they can video, if they're out enjoying a dinner, night on the town, whatever, this person is your proof of concept. You can take those things and then turn them into vehicles to prove that concept over and over again. Imagine right now you have a YouTube channel where every week this person in Dublin is posting a new video. It doesn't have to be huge, it doesn't have to be great. It just has to be, hey, had great time out on the town with this, take a look at this busker.
Yeah.
You're showing the coolness of your product.
Yeah, that's...
Grab it, because this is money that's going out the door right now that you need to capture.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I'll definitely have to reach out to her and work with her.
The students who sign on with you, what do they save? How much money do they save over the traditional?
Over a traditional placement program. So the traditional, so usually I have a slide of it elsewhere. It's going to save them about, if you cost a placement program, it's going to cost about, depends on where you go. If you go to Dublin, it's probably going to save you about $5,000. If you go to London on the other side, because the placement programs themselves are quite a bit higher in just cost, just because of the cost of living, but also the difficultness of actually interning in London is much higher. So they usually save probably I'd say about $5,000 to $6,000, depending on kind of what level the student would have gone otherwise.
Well, that's huge.
Yeah, and especially the bigger other thing is that we are trying to capture maybe an audience, some students who might not have been able to go in general, simply because they wouldn't have been able to put up that $5,000 capital at the front of it. So we're trying to capture that market as well.
Just to piggyback on what DP said, I don't know, and I'm pretty sure that a lot of people don't know, that there is an actual integration with Instagram, depending on your website platform, so that when people actually do Instagram posts, it can go feed live to your website. So it's something that if you don't have it, you might want to look into it.
Yeah, no.
The availability of the internships, are these kind of like publicly posted on AngelList, LinkedIn? Like,
No.
Okay, so you have to like really hustle to find them?
Yeah, so a lot of the most of the internships we have, or all of them that we have, aren't actually listed anywhere else. We found them based on contacting small businesses, mostly, usually small to medium-sized businesses. They're easier to work with. A lot of times the larger companies have already set procedures for finding interns, or they usually have set procedures. So most of these, a lot of these companies wouldn't even have interns. They're basically just like, oh, that's something that we'd be interested in having. So some of, we have tried to go after companies that are posting their internship in general, but you'd have to really, really dig.
Sure. And to add on to that, you said you went from Dublin to London.
Mm-hmm.
Are you intending to set up like a pipeline of let's work with this international company and send students there through the years, or kind of what was your motivation in finding a different company, a different internship, right, from volunteering to, as you said, casting, versus with other students potentially, would they want to go back and like do that again, or maybe potentially land a full-time gig?
Yeah, so that's a good question. And I mean, I can't say for certain what their main motive is, simply because we don't have quite enough data. From what I've talked to most students who have done international internships or just international experiences in general, oftentimes they're doing it for the experience itself. Most people I've talked to haven't searched an internship abroad that is their potential career goal. Now, that being said, we have been asked questions about working abroad. Basically, if we're going to post working opportunities on there. At the moment, we're not, simply because the visa process is quite complicated if you want to actually work abroad versus you're going to be a limited intern. Is kind of, but it's definitely, so it kind of depends. Most students, I think, see it as an opportunity to want to go abroad and have this international experience, as well as there are going to be, I guess most people think of going to work abroad otherwise.
Is there, playing off of that, is there a certain type of role that you're looking for in internships? Or is there a certain type of company? I know you said smaller, medium-sized businesses, but is there a certain vertical market or something? Yeah,
so we kind of gone back and forth with if we want to go after like kind of target a market and really saturate it, or if we want to have a more inclusive market. And at the current moment, we're kind of doing more than inclusive. We're kind of throwing out a ton of information, sending out a ton of emails, reaching out to a lot of different companies. We have found, with that being said, that kind of like the media companies, communications kind of department tend to be a little bit easier to work with, and they're more responsive. And the response, I think, is because a lot of times they're used to having short-term interns, especially if you go like kind of the media production side of things. They're used to having kind of high turnover, and so it's really easy for them to slip another intern into their field, I guess.
Do you have any liability for their travel and while they're over there?
Yeah, so I have talked to a lot of different people about this, and I've kind of gotten back and forth answers. I've been kind of told that because right now all we really have on there is that this is we vet these companies and we do our best, but this is still up to you. We just provide all the resources in one space for you that are already out there. I think in the future, as we start doing kind of like the more helping, where we're actually placing students in accommodation and stuff like that, I think that's definitely something we're going to think a bit more about with this liability sort of aspect, as well as having them sign off on a thing saying that this is still up to them to do their research, and it's still on them.
Are you planning on expanding into any other European countries or any other countries in general?
Yeah, absolutely. So the goal is, long term is to eventually have as many options as possible. Because we do provide so much information between the actual internships, the accommodation information, visas, and then just for both London and Dublin, we have specific travel information about those, like things to do and how to use the transportation, what kind of cell phone you should have. Because we have all this information, we're trying to really create a really good foundation on these two cities, create a method of how we're going to, grow this city, and then the goal is to expand based on what our users are kind of asking most about and what's also easiest. Some countries are just easier for students to go to versus others have a lot of hoops you have to kind of jump, which makes always the visa process or the actually applying to an internship a lot harder.
So from the perspective of the businesses that you're working with in England, what would make them want to work with your company versus the other placement
Yeah, that's a good question. So basically what happens with when you use a placement program, on both the company and the student side, you basically apply for, say, I want to do something in media, and I want to do something, or like marketing, and I want to do it in London. And these placement programs have kind of like their set internships that they have. And whatever student has applied, from all my knowledge and from what I've talked to, these placement programs don't actually turn away students. So if you are able to pay the placement fees, then you get an internship. So what that means is that whatever students they have, they just kind of fill those positions. When you use our program as a company, you get this, you kind of get all of the options of who is sent to you. So you see the resume, you see the cover letter, and you see also the student who's going to work through us is going to be a little bit more independent because it does require that you do it all on your own versus having you pay someone and they kind of are hands off the rest of the time. So it does tend to lead to a more independent and self-sufficient student, which then also can relate back to their work, if that answers the question.
Yeah, can you talk a little more about those placement providers? Who are those guys? Are they private companies, kind of specialized travel agents? Are they university-related services?
Yeah. So
do they operate nationally? Are they local?
Yeah, so they kind of range. They have a whole bunch of different sizes. There's smaller like niche ones where there's basically. My sister did one in Malta, which was basically just a husband-wife duo who had a website, and it was much smaller. And you kind of, when you work with the smaller ones, sometimes you get the smaller size of things, such as you don't have as many internship options, or you don't have as many countries. But they also range into large, like national, international companies that send thousands of students every year. So what they do is, most of them I've gathered are actually private, is what I've seen. So a lot of universities have their own internship programs as well. So you have these private ones, but then you have these other ones that are kind of affiliated with the university. Usually from what I've also seen is most universities that have these are a bit larger. So like UW has quite a few international internship options. However, they are the same placement program option. I remember when I was researching, they're no cheaper. Often the UW ones or the university ones are just as expensive, if not more expensive, than the actual private programs that are out there right now. We have not really found anything, or I have not found anything in all of my research that does what we do. Most of the things, they have the same kind of 3 services, only they don't make them accessible to people. They tell you that this is what we'll do for you, pay this application fee, and then this is how much it's going to cost you.
So I want to give us some time for the kind of post questions networking. So I just have some general, not really a question, but some commentary, which is to say, a lot of these questions are kind of, it seems to me, are getting at where you really see yourself. So in one way, you could see Babette Travel as sort of like an Expedia of internships, right? Where if you source this information from everywhere else and basically just provide that central hub. Another huge avenue would be just being a resource. I think the amount of value there is certainly something I understand. As someone who wanted to travel abroad but would not pay a $5,000 travel abroad fee because I had to pay tuition, to have a resource like this would have been amazing. And I think there's a lot of people, I think there's a market of people that just as a resource, there's a lot of value here.
Yeah.
So I guess my point is, there might be an easy way to start to think about which way you are drawing value, and I think it might be as easy as just putting essentially website counters on each of the pages, so you see how people are entering and processing whatever information you have.
Yeah.
Is everyone going to the job board? Well, then you should probably focus on filling that job board and making that be.
Yeah.
Is everyone going to the resources? Then that's probably a good place to spend your time. My only caution would be, don't necessarily just follow wherever that value is if it doesn't align with who you want to be. And I'll refer people to DP's presentation weeks ago, which was essentially to say, a brand is really more than just that thing at the top of the screen. It's really the construct of like what your pursuit is.
Yeah.
And you want to make sure that wherever that incoming value aligns with that, you might have to pivot, but I think there's a lot of, and I think people in this room likely would kind of help you, find direction, I guess, in that way. Do we have more time?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, have at it.
Yeah. Punch your baby in the face. Babette Travel.
Yes.
Cardinal sin of marketing: overpromise and underdeliver. Travel in your name. I was thinking the same thing that I think Dennis was talking about, or about travel agent versus matchmaker. It sounds like you're a matchmaker and not a travel agency. Travel's in your name. I'm just raising the question, is that an overpromise and underdeliver?
In what sense, I guess, is what?
Babette Travel is the same as Wausau Travel. Wausau Travel, if they still exist in Wausau, is a travel agency. And if you go around the country, if you type in travel agency and look at the names of travel agencies, you're going to see it everything from Sheila Travel to
Absolutely.
South American Travel or whatever.
Yeah. So I guess I don't see us as a travel. I mean, you guys might see it differently. I don't see us as a travel agency simply because we don't book anything for you.
I agree with you 100%,
Yeah.
which is why I'm saying your name may be leading me down a path from the second I see your name that I then have to jump back onto an entirely different path.
Okay.
That's all.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I guess the only reason that I struggled was because one, the site is currently at the point of not quite equal. It's heavy internship, but quite heavy travel as well. So I guess that was the only reason that I went with Babette Travel versus just Babette.
Well, and I don't think Babette's necessarily the thing either, but if you just throw out a name, if you said International Intern Resources,
Yeah.
that's what you provide.
Yeah.
And it's a flat-footed name, and there probably is a better
And that's
name.
kind of where I struggled. So I spent a couple of years trying to figure out a name, and everything kind of ended with this kind of flat-footed, or what currently these placement programs have. And our website looks very different than if you would go through a normal.
Okay, and this is what I do, so I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, I'm just
challenging
trying
you.
to understand.
But let's say you call it Babette Abroad with a qualifying line that says International Intern Resources.
Well, or you could keep Babette Travel as the company and brand specifically the venture that you have, the abroad travel type thing. I guess you don't want to use
Yeah, I just want to keep it clarified because you have to look at your name from your audience's point of view, not your point of view.
No, absolutely. That's a good point. I guess I don't.
Sorry, I don't mean to open a can of worms, but.
No, it's totally fine. I'm just where, I guess the website is babettetravel.com, and partially because also babette.com does not already exist. So that was kind of, originally it was just Babette, and then we added the travel because that's the website, but that doesn't really need to correlate to what all our marketing doesn't have to have those.
Well, everybody here is probably familiar with the concept of sunk costs. Those are sunk costs.
Yeah.
Your current website and all that stuff. Don't feel you have to stay there. You can get a different URL. You're still young. What you have to do is have a good foundation.
Yeah.
And I'm questioning the key brick in your foundation, which is your name.
So we can continue that conversation.
That's a really good point.
No, yeah.
But we will cut it loose for now, and then obviously we've had a lot of time for questions, and if you guys want to continue after networking and talking with Olivia, that would be fine. One last thing for next week, we have Scott Johannick from Drop Inc. here, so that would be a good one also to come. But other than that, I'm going to just leave it open to everyone. How did we do for Facebook Live? Do we know? Oh, good.
Well, it worked.
Okay. All we can hope for
I saw that Eric Royson joined us out there in the wild. So
Okay, well,
we'll
shout out
get
to-
the stats later.
Shout out to him. Anyway,
Thanks.
feel free. Let's give a round of a hand for. We'll see you next time.
Drink some more coffee.
Yes, got a lot.